Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kahakwadash. And of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. This is Naaman with the DC Camp branch of Great Millstone, back for another video. Also, like to send salutations out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and the byways, pushing the truth across four corners of this earth, while time still permits us to do so. And in the meantime, trying to wake up the remaining hope for the elect. This video I'm about to show you, this case I did at least a couple of videos on over the 3 years. Incident that happened, he was with his girl and he had a truckload of rednecks chasing after him. And he tried to defend himself. He actually did, but this is what he went on trial for, because in the course of them trying to run him off the road, he fired a couple of shots. One of them hit a 17-year-old Edomite girl, I think it was, and she consequently died as a result. So this is why he was jailed. All right, the thing is, he stood his ground. Now, if you notice, there's another case. Let me see if I can pull it up. That's ongoing. He was just sentenced here. We'll get to that. This guy here. There's another one down in Florida. I'll see if I can pull that up. But this guy is, his name is Maurice Byrd. This is in Pennsylvania. Hatboro, as a matter of fact. It's eastern Montgomery County, PA. 41. So this alleged white supremacist, Edomite, was constantly, this has been going on for some time, constantly harassing him, berating him, belittling him. And on this particular instance, he actually grabbed the guy. He was on the phone, the Jake was on the phone with the police, and they heard what was going on. But of course, again, that didn't matter. The guy grabs him. He's a disabled vet. He's backing up trying to get away from the guy. So the guy's like, he sees the gun in his waistband. He's legally allowed to carry. And he ends up shooting the guy, killing him. So this case is ongoing. But this guy, oh man, let's go ahead and get the video.
10 years in prison. That's how long a judge sentenced Mark Wilson.
That is the maximum sentence allowed after a Statesboro jury convicted Wilson last month of involuntary manslaughter in the death of Haley Hutchinson. We turn now to our Nakia Carrera. She's live outside the courthouse. Nakia, you have covered this trial from the beginning.
That's right, Greg. I've been here since jury selection to the guilty verdict and now sentencing. Judge Ronald Thompson sentenced Mark Wilson right before 5 o'clock to the maximum of 10 years. Wilson was found guilty back on August 31st of involuntary manslaughter for the 17-year-old Haley Hutchinson. Wilson was out on bond during the trial until he was found guilty. The defense team spoke to us about the conviction.
Our task was very clear, and that was to stop illegal lynching. This DA, like many runaway DAs across the state, Daphne Totten is no different from a Jackie Johnson, wanted Mark Wilson's life. And despite the verdict today, despite the sentence today, she will not have it. Mark Wilson will have a life, and I'm grateful for that.
And to see him get 10 years, I think, well, you know, this young man has never been in trouble.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, I think y'all did a records check, correct?
Yes, sir.
There was nothing found on this young man. This is a young man who, again, look at his family. Look at his family from Charleston, South Carolina.
They put so much, emphasis on that, but these are our enemies. You have to remember, they don't give a shit if you got a squeaky clean record. In this case, more than anything, that should have spoke volumes. But again, they don't care. Now, this is a case, see if I can find it in Florida. Let me see. Because this one, oh crap. Let's see, hold on here. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Whoops. Case in Florida. Let's see, 2025. Let's see how that's going. Stand your ground case dismissed for Florida man. Let's see. No, that's another one. Standing, trimming tree. That's another one. Let's see. Nope. 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 That's it. Nope. Here's what happens. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Nope. Let's see. Damn it. I didn't think it would be that many. Let's see. Shit. I can't believe this. Let's see. Let's see. Parking dispute. That's not. Let's see. This is crazy. I know this just happened recently. I could have sworn. Oh, I gotta word it different. Hold on. Let's try 2024. Let's see. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. I can't remember. They were harassing. Let's do it this way. Let's see. Man. Here it is. I think this is it. Let's see. Yeah, this is it. White men in Florida harass a homeless man before he shot them both. What happened was he was trying again get away. He went in to a business and they testified to this, trying to get away from these guys. Let's see if you can show it. Hold on.
We've got some new video of the events leading to a deadly shooting in Defuniak Springs last week. 32-year-old Sifo Bennett, now in the Walton County Jail, charged with murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and shooting into an occupied vehicle that happened at a shopping plaza on Highway 331 South on July 4th, just after 5:30 in the afternoon. This is surveillance video taken from Yamato's restaurant, Defuniak Springs, capturing a 13-minute exchange between pedestrian Sifo Bennett and two men in a white SUV. News reports in Walton County identify those two men as teenager Caden Johnson from Freeport and 20-year-old David Brimmer, also from Freeport. At first, the men simply glare at each other in the parking lot for unknown reasons. After several minutes, the exchanges become more animated, and the two men can be heard shouting threats at Bennett and calling him names. The men leave briefly in their vehicle, returning minutes later. A witness tells WEAR News that they begin threatening Bennett while he's in a smoke shop. And then gunfire can be heard off camera. Brimmer then runs to the passenger side of the SUV and gets in, with Bennett close behind. Bennett can then be seen circling the SUV and firing a shot into the driver's side window. The SUV then speeds backwards and crashes into a parked vehicle. Police find Bennett a short time later in the bathroom of a Walgreens. David Brimmer, the passenger in the SUV, is killed by a bullet to the chest. Driver Caden Johnson is shot in the arm, but survives. Now, the witness at Yabano's restaurant who sent us that video says Bennett is a friend of hers, a frequent customer at her restaurant, and she says he's a good man. Now, Bennett told investigators that he believed the men were going to retrieve a firearm from their vehicle, so he says he fired first. Law enforcement did find a weapon in the victim's vehicle.
Well, there you go. All right. Continuing on with this one.
Again, look at his family. Look at his family from Charleston, South Carolina, all over. We're very thankful. We thank this team and know that we will continue to fight.
Here at Buyer Kia, when you come in for service,
And know that we will continue to fight.
Nakia, what about his time served?
Greg, he has already served 682 days in jail for this case. So that time served will be put towards his 10-year sentence. Greg?
Guy Guerrero reporting live. Thanks so very much.
All right, peace and blessings, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and blessings, all praises to the Most High. The news clip that you heard or saw was that concerning Mark Wilson, who is now 25 years old, and as you hear, he is currently serving a 10-year sentence for the charge of involuntary manslaughter. Now, this incident happened on June the 14th, 2020. Only about 6 or 7 or 8 days or thereof after the George Floyd incident. Now, how does that relate to this? Because it was on June the 14th where Mark Wilson, who was then at the time 21, was riding down a country road in Statesboro, Georgia, with his then girlfriend, Emma Rigdon. Now, as you saw Mark's parents in the video, Mark's father is black and his mother is white. So some people would consider him biracial, but as you can see, the law considers him black. But on this night, the two were riding, and they were approached by a truck full of white males. That is the only thing that Mark Wilson could see. And it was at this point that these white males started harassing them, yelling racial slurs, and trying to run Mark and his girlfriend off the road. Now, according to the trial and testimony of the girlfriend, she said they were saying things like the N-word and also saying that your lives don't matter and calling Wilson's girlfriend a N-word lover. All the while trying to run them off of the road. Now, keep in mind, it's during the time of the George Floyd protests. That's why you hear them saying, your lives don't matter. So, fearing for his life, and again, standing his ground, Mark took out his legal firearm and fired at the truck, defending him and his girlfriend, fearing for their life. Now, mind you, this is on a country road at 1 in the morning. Now, the bullets that he fired evidently hit 17-year-old white girl Haley Hutchinson, She was riding with a group of unruly individuals. Unfortunately, Haley Hutchinson lost her life due to the shooting. And as we've seen with the Maurice Byrd case,
just what I had mentioned, right? He's going to go into that. But this is how you know, we were sent here as punishment. This is indeed the valley of the shadow of death, as it talks about in Psalms 23rd chapter. But, again, this is a place of punishment. You have to know that. As in the curses, it says in Deuteronomy 28 and 65. Let's get there real quick. As part of that curse, let's see. All right. It says, hold on. It says, and among those nations you shall find no rest, nor shall the sole of your foot have a resting place. But there the Lord will give you a trembling heart, failing eyes, and anguish of soul. Is that not anguish? All right. Let's look what it talks about. It says anguish. What does that mean? Anguish. All right. Let's go out here. Acute bodily or mental suffering. All right. Tightness, straightness, narrowness, figuratively distress, difficulty. All right. To throttle, torment. Is that not what? Wow. Anxiety. All right. And you would be in no position or have no power to affect anything. Is that not what's going on here? Think of all the incidents that have happened. You had the young man up in Ohio, 12 years old, playing with a toy gun. Cops didn't ask any questions. You know, just got out of the car and just opened fire immediately. All right. Other instances, there was a psychiatrist with a patient. He was laying down on the ground with his hands up. Still got shot. I forgot where that was, but the video, you know. So many others where Jake tried to cooperate. As you'll see these idiots in the comment section on stories such as this. Well, all we had to do was surrender and peacefully and blah, 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 blah. You know, that bullshit. You know, that's that mental anguish part that that causes anxiety in us. Because take, for instance, the video of Rodney King. How many blamed him for that? After clearly they were in control, but no, they just decided they wanted to beat the shit out of him. And still, with the video, those guys got acquitted. But it didn't work for OJ. He went before, jury of his peers, as they always say, and he was acquitted. They just couldn't let it go. What part of America is not for us? A lot of our people don't understand. They still want to make it work. They still want America to work. And it wasn't designed to. Damn. I said, how dense can you be? But again, Deuteronomy 28 and 28, the madness. Let's get that one. Let's get the NLT version of this. It says, there among those nations you will find no peace or place of rest or place to rest. And the Most High, Yahweh, will cause your heart to tremble, your eyesight to fail, and your soul to despair. Let's go to, scroll on up to 28. All right. Because this is indeed madness. This is madness. The Most High Yahweh will strike you with madness and blindness and confusion of heart. NLT, the Lord will strike you with madness, blindness, and panic. Think about whenever the police get behind you and your grip on the steering wheel tightens because you just know that could be it. You know, that sensation of panic, of terror. It's a daily thing. Every time you go into some store, you just know. All surveillance cameras go on to you automatically. Like, and you wonder why we have hypertension and along with the diet that we have, because let's just face it, American food is shit to begin with, and this is done on purpose. Especially, you know, in certain neighborhoods. You know. But again, these curses that were put on us, our oppressors is experiencing them now. That's Deuteronomy 30:7. Let's go back and see what a little bit more here. Now, this Jake here, I like his site because Taylor House Publishing, he and another one, Introvert Rockstar, they go into, because there's a lot of Jake that are unalived, and the of course the national media is not reporting it. So these are two good sites here. This one, Taylor House Publishing, and Introvert Rockstar. All right, continuing on.
We've seen with the Maurice Byrd case and the Sipho Bennett case, they have exercised their right to stand their ground against attack. Now, Georgia is also one of the states, and if I didn't mention it happened in Statesboro, Georgia, Georgia is also one of the states who have implemented the Stand Your Ground law, where if you feel that your life is in danger against imminent threat, then you have the right to use deadly force to protect yourself. Regardless of this fact,
today we're testing the Gen 7 0311P iron. We've set up the
Mark Wilson was charged with felony M-word, amongst a lot of other charges. He was jailed and spent 2 years in jail before making bond and going to trial. However, in September the 20th, 2022, as you see from the news clip, he was convicted and sentenced to the maximum of 10 years in prison for basically standing his ground. Now, as you heard the father say, he had never been in trouble before. He was a legal registered owner of a firearm, and him and his girlfriend was just out trying to have a night of fun when being approached by these obvious thugs. Now, there were several things in the trial that were, some would see as bias or demonstrating the double standard between blacks using the Stand Your Ground law and whites using the Stand Your Ground law. Now, as I mentioned before in the Maurice Byrd case, 33% of white cases who use Stand Your Ground law are justified, as opposed to only 3% of black people who claim self-defense as a right to stand their ground are justified. Now, they really wanted to give him the rest of his life in prison for the felony M-word charge. But a lot of things happened during the trial. One judge had to recuse himself. And if you don't know what that means he had to get off the case, because he had met with prosecutors to review some emails that the defendant, Mark Wilson, had sent to his family. So that was a breach of protocol. And even then, some of the teenagers in the car were charged with obstruction of justice and hiding evidence. Now, of course, the white teens or young adults were saying, "No, we didn't do this or we didn't do that." You know, we wasn't messing with them. But one of the teens, one of the men, have been charged with obstructing evidence as it relates to the case, basically lying. You know, a lot during the trial. All of the instigators, I would say, had different stories. Now, they did to admit to being intoxicated and drinking, right? But they don't admit to calling those names. Now, if you're intoxicated and you're drinking, you're out like that, I can pretty much believe my brother Mark Wilson and his claims that he feared for his life and these people were trying to run him off the road. And once again, this happened in 2022. And one of Marcus's cousins, who was white, a relative of his white mother, had this to say: "If you put me in Mark's shoes, there is no way that I would have been prosecuted," Wilson's cousin Chet said. Odds are I would have been given a medal. Probably gotten a parade in my name. It's unreal how he was treated just because he's a little bit more tan than I am. Now, that is from the mouth of his white cousin, highlighting the disparities of the situations like this. Now, the judge, they dropped the felony M-word charge and all the other charges, and they presented the charge of involuntary manslaughter, which carries once again the maximum of 10 years. However, the judge did not inform the jurors that there were two types of manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter. There was felony involuntary manslaughter, and there was misdemeanor involuntary manslaughter. So the judge did not tell the jury that they had that option to either choose between one or the other. Now, that in itself is a miscarriage of justice. However, as the lawyer was saying, we were hoping that he would get leniency. Nevertheless, this judge, Ronnie Thompson, sentenced him to the maximum on September the 20th. As a further slap in the face of justice, this man is going to say this is a colorblind decision. He said, well, the court is very mindful of what was going on when this happened. Everything that was going on in the country, referring to the George Floyd situation. And, you know, I think somebody made a statement about Marcus Wilson being capable of unaliving someone. Well, one thing that the court has thought about is maybe all of us in a certain situation are capable of unaliving someone depending on the circumstances. The question in a society where we value law and order is whether or not it's justified. And that is the question. He said everyone is capable of doing what Marcus did under the circumstances, but it's only justified when the victim is black and the shooter is white. And then he's going to talk about law and order. And as we've seen, there are two separate forms of law and order in this country. One for whites and one for blacks. Now, of course, they highlight again the George Zimmerman case where he was allowed to stand his ground against 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. Now, I have no doubt that the fact that the victim, was a young, lily white, all-American white girl. Let's be honest. But the fact that she was in a truck with a bunch of rowdy, drunk, young adults, maybe even teenagers, should be taken into consideration. As Mark Wilson's girlfriend put it, if he would not have done, now this is a white girl speaking as well, if he would not have done what he did that night, we probably wouldn't be here. We probably wouldn't be here. And she added on, she said, Mark Wilson, which is her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, is not the reason that Haley is not here with us today. Whose fault is it? It's the guys in the truck that were trying to run this young couple off the road.
But they didn't see it that way.
But regardless of all of those facts and the circumstances, the judge chose to impose the maximum penalty.
This is America.
And once again, this was 2 years ago when he was sentenced. So now he's probably 25 years old, about 4 or 5 years into a sentence. So this young man had his whole life altered. Now, mind you, they wanted to give him life for the felony M-word conviction. So there is a little semblance of justice there, but true and complete justice, as we've seen throughout other circumstances, would have been Marcus Wilson going home to his family, who traveled all over from the United States to see him, going home to his family and continuing his life without being...
Maybe even sitting in, I don't know, with the president and other politicians in a sporting booth. Wouldn't that have been nice? Wow. A hero. But no.
Ran off the road by a group of rowdy, drunken, racist white young adults or teenagers. And actually, looking at this article, the two white men in the truck, the driver was Mason Glisson and the passenger Ashton Deloach, acknowledged that they had been drinking and they were underage. They said that the attorney states that these two white men mistook Wilson and his girlfriend Rigdon as another interracial couple.
Yes, I love eating all of these humans. Wait, what is my friend doing locked up? Let me help him. Okay.
As another interracial couple. And another man, and that's the man that I was talking about earlier, Luke Conley, they charged him with misdemeanor obstruction early in investigation for alleged inconsistencies in his story, meaning he was lying, basically. And then to further add insult to injury, meaning he probably couldn't keep his lie straight, he took the Fifth Amendment at the trial. And the girlfriend, Emma Rigdon, also testified at the trial, saying that she was afraid, the truck had swerved, and the young man had been hanging out the windows. And, that's when Wilson acted. She also testified, she said, I fully believe Mark saved my life that night. I wholly believe if Mark was not there that night and wouldn't have done what he did, we would have been unalive. And then again, as I told you earlier, she said, Mark is not the reason Haley is not here. And looking at this article, I must correct, the charges were not dismissed. A jury trial acquitted him of everything, including the felony M-word, and also second-degree M-word and voluntary manslaughter. So they gave him the smallest charge of involuntary manslaughter, and then the judge gave him the stiffest penalty. And so no one can tell me that this judge, Ronnie Thompson, was not acting in racial bias. And so as the defense attorney said,
couldn't stand for him to get off with nothing like it would look like it was heading. So, I mean, now you know why this place must be wiped off the face of the earth.
in the news clip, our job was to prevent a legal lynching in which a man was over sentenced for a crime that he probably shouldn't have been charged with to begin with. If Mark Wilson was Caucasian or a little less tan, as his cousin put it, he wouldn't be in court anyway. This is just once again another example of the double standard and the racial bias when it comes to the legal system. Here we have a black man and his girlfriend riding down the street, minding their business, and then they are attacked, basically, by white teenagers, drunken white teenagers, lying white teenagers, trying to run them off the road. And he exercises his legal right, pulls out his legal firearm, and exercises the legal stance of standing his ground, yet and still he has to spend 10 years in prison. His life is forever altered because of the actions of these people. So hopefully this young man will be able to survive his prison sentence and come out without much trauma. If you've ever been in prison, you know there's definitely trauma associated with that. But once again, I just had to highlight this instance of another case of black men standing their ground and not being able to use that legal defense. As you heard the case of Maurice Byrd, who was attacked by a white man who he had a long-standing conflict with. He called the police, he defended himself, and yet he is sitting in jail right now in a Pennsylvania jail fighting for his life. As well, you know, the case of Sippo Bennett. If you haven't, that's in Dufresne Springs, Florida, where he also was targeted by a truck full of drunken young white males, in which, once again, he feared for his life and he stood his ground. Yet and still, he is also sitting in a jail cell fighting for his life. So tell me, what's the difference? Y'all tell me in the comments, what's the difference? Why is it that black people are not allowed to stand their ground as much as white people? Is it
the history in and of itself? When you go back, the black codes and not being permitted under those wicked ass fucking slave codes and all that, unable to defend oneself. Again, what has changed? They're just slicker about going, you know, their methods, you know. That's why we need a savior. But again, this is our fault. Let's go to Psalms 44. All right, I'm just going to go to the point. You can read up, but to begin with, this is a plea for the Most High to come to our help, right? To come to our help. And it's telling you why these things are happening. All right, let's go on down. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to start at, 13. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, are we not? And for those that don't know what reproach means, Strong's H2781, disgrace. All right. A shame, and we are. All right. A scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. Actually, it explains itself in the same scripture. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. My confusion is continually before me, and the shame of my face has covered me. For the voice of him that reproacheth and blasphemeth, by reason of the enemy and the avenger. All this is come upon us, yet have we not forgotten thee, neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant. Our heart is not turned back, neither have our steps declined from thy way. Though thou hast sore broken us in the place of dragons, and covered us with the shadow of death. Yes, remember, Deuteronomy 28 and 65. Let's go back to that real quick. It says, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Most High Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And furthermore, these curses are a sign. It says, Moel 45, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And you read the beginning of chapter 28 here, all right? And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder. Who else is going through the shit like this? And upon thy seed forever. And they shall be upon thee for a sign. A sign of what? As to who's who. Who's under the law. And these things are happening because of what? We broke the law, statutes, and commandments. Therefore, these curses are put upon us. 47. Because thou servest not the Most High Yahweh thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, even justice. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So with that, until the next video, hey, Shalom. Again, repentance, and with that, prayer and fasting. So until the next video, hey, Shalom.